Welcome back to another episode of Loose Ends Pod. My name is Annie,
I'm Zoe.
and we are back to talk about friendships in your 30s or really just as an adult because they're quite different. What it's like making friends as a kid, and so we wanted to talk about friendship later on in life. How you feel about the state of the union with your friendship group, like your circle, whatever that is. Are you like how do you feel about them? Are you adding more people? What does that group look like for you today?
I'm definitely not adding people to my to my social circle. I think it's pretty fixed. I have my friends who I share interests with, and we do common activities together. And that's my main core group of friends that I see regularly on the weekly basis. And then I have some like old friends from back in the school days, or like Annie, who I how long have we been knowing each other for?
Oh my gosh. Probably almost 10 years
Wait,
now.
almost 10
Yeah,
years. Wow, time
almost 10
really
years.
flies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most people in my life are like old friends, but I'm only adding new friends through like common interests. How about you?
I'm probably in a little bit of a different boat because I just moved back to the Bay Area a couple months ago, like semi permanently, or at least like this is where I live now. And so I spent maybe 4 years living outside of the Bay. So I'd lived here after college, stayed for a couple years, and then when 2020, March 2020 hit, moved out and went back home for what I thought would be a couple like weeks to be back home with family. And then everyone knows what happened during that time, but a couple weeks turned into a couple months, turned into like a couple years. And I eventually, when things started to open up, I mean, during COVID, you don't really have a choice. You kind of have your very like small circle of people that you were able to interact with. For me, that was my family and maybe like a couple people that I had like met up in Washington. But when I decided that I didn't want to be up there anymore and I like wanted to come back down, I there were just so many people that had left. Like my old friend group and like the circle of people, there had been so much that had changed in my life that I was coming back to a completely different like set of circumstances. Like I wasn't working at the same company anymore. I wasn't working for any like really any company anymore that had a huge presence in the Bay Area. And the friends that I had made before had mostly sort of like moved out or like moved to different places. And so I was for the last like 6 months or so have been trying to meet new people and make new friends and like really rebuild that community since I felt like I lost all of it during
Yeah.
the last couple of years. So it's been actually like an active an active project, an active effort for me.
Yeah, I think it also has something to do with the location being in Silicon Valley, where most people coming to Silicon Valley in their early 20s, in their 20 to 30s, and trying like really searching for career inspirations, or they try to build up their career here. But once they want to settle down, a lot of people decide to move outside of Silicon Valley to somewhere else. So a lot of people don't see here as a permanent place to settle down. That's where you see people come and go. That's why some people will only join you for a certain part of your journey here. In 5 years, probably your friend circle will look so much different from today because people would want to settle down, move to somewhere that's lower cost of living. So I think that's also has something to do with the special position of being in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I think it's probably very unique to this place where I mean maybe the only other city that like compares is New York.
New York, that's
Yeah,
what
like
came
New
to my
York.
mind.
Like people and like I'm from Washington, or I was grew up in Washington State. I have to clarify that because everyone always asks me down here for some reason DC. I obviously get that a lot on the East Coast, but I've had people start asking me here. So Washington State. But even in cities like Seattle, and I spent 6 months in Miami when we like during the pandemic. People like stay there for the most part. Like maybe they don't stay in the city, but they will move to the suburbs or they'll, try to like make it work. And I feel like in places like San Francisco and New York, especially, people, you sort of have like an expiration, like a window where you're like, okay, yeah, this is fun. And I'm like exploring myself and trying to figure out my life and my career and who I'm like, the people that I'm going to do it with. And then eventually you get to a point where you're like, oh, this is like not like do I want to continue trading sort of this like opportunity and sort of excitement and entertainment for like my financial stability? And a lot of people, I think the answer is like no. And so I think a lot of people end up like leaving as a result of that. It's a great place, I think, to start your life. But it makes sense that I think people
not
leave.
a great place for retirement for sure. A lot of people looking for like mid-age, like semi-retirement, which is like so popular and hit right now. A lot of people probably would have to move to somewhere like that has a comparable less cost of living, which is understandable. So how do you like start making friends when actually you went to school here, so like once you are out of school is kind of like natural for you to, because you already have people from back in the school, but once you start working, do you find it really hard to make new friends?
I think so, like kind of outside of your circle. I don't know. Most of my friends from college ended up actually like leaving the Bay Area. So they took jobs in Texas, they took jobs in Florida, they took jobs in New York. And I had very few people from my friend group that actually like ended up staying in the Bay Area, which I think was unusual actually for the time. After that, like I think work was sort of my like next like opportunity to like meet a bunch of people. And my first job was actually like with you.
So that's probably going to be a hot take on this question. Like, should you be friends with your coworkers?
I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of people, like younger people these days, are like, absolutely not. Like, I do not want to be friends with my colleagues, or they'll look at, especially people that are in bigger corporations where there's just a lot of like variety, a lot of different types of people. They're like, absolutely not. Like, I'm seeing these people for work and then I'm out of here. But I think yes. Like
I think we got lucky.
like
We got really lucky, and because the first company we worked at, everyone was a good person to be so fun to be around with, whether that's at work or outside of work. I can say that in my first couple of years, when I started working, all my friends were my coworkers.
Yeah.
We spent time like during the week and on the weekends, and we traveled together. We traveled internationally together to Africa.
Yeah.
We lived together as roommates, and we're still friends after 10 years.
Yeah. So obviously our perspective might be a little bit biased, but I think that having friends at work just makes work so much more enjoyable and like fun. Like I'll have to look this up and maybe I can like post something after the fact. But there were recent studies done showing that like Gen Z feels really like disconnected at work. They also don't have any friends at work. And I don't think it's any surprise or like coincidence that both of those two things are low. Like I think that when you have friends at work, you are just more excited about being there, with people that you like and people that you know. And maybe not everyone is the exact same person as you, but like
But I think it was also because our first job, everyone around us were around the same age,
Yeah.
and everyone was looking for like that kind of like making friends experiences. Versus, I found it a lot harder to make friends in my second, third, and fourth job because. Yeah, because the second job, where like the organization is a lot bigger and we've got like thousands of people, so it's really hard to build that personal connections. And also, it was remote during COVID time, so you don't have that in-person interaction. And also, people in my second company were more like in their like 30s and beyond, so they've got their families and they have their fixed social circles. They're not eager to make new friends. So starting from my second job to the fourth job, I think I had a clear separation of my personal life from work, where I
interesting.
kept work really professional and just like as my work friends or coworkers, and I don't see them outside of work.
Was that
at all.
intentional?
No, it was not intentional. I love to see them, but it didn't feel natural, as compared to the first job where you naturally will invite somebody to hang out, to grab a drink, and to go to Dolores Park on the weekend. But because if you're surrounded by people who have a more settled down life, and then they already have things planned out with their own friends and family, especially for people who have kids, like they've got no time to hang out with you. So I made less than 5 friends in the last 3 companies I've worked at.
How long has that been?
But each company I've only stayed around 1 to 2 years,
Okay.
not so long. That could also be a factor.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. I don't have any like point of comparison to that because I guess I worked at a startup right after the company that we worked at together. And they were really small, like maybe 30 people when I joined. But I did, yeah. So I ended up making a decent number of friends. I would say that there are like 3 people from that company that I'm still close with and I'll still like catch up with. One of them, weirdly or like funny enough, was, I don't think it's weird, but other people might. It was my manager. Like she's a great person. We actually worked at the same company that we were at. Well, we didn't work together, but she was there at the same time, and we were both hired into this like new startup at the same time, and ended up just like clicking. And she was a great manager. She was a great person,
And she's also a good friend.
yeah, now she's
Wow.
like a friend. Yeah,
You
so
got really lucky on
I got
that.
really lucky. Yeah, but
I
I
don't
also
think
had like people that I just worked with as coworkers, and we were also remote at the time, but ended up just, I don't know, yeah, having enough like time and overlap and opportunity to become like friends. Maybe probably because of like offsites or just startup trauma bonding together. But yeah, I've been able to. I think it would be harder in like a corporate environment, like a bigger
Yeah.
company.
It also depends on the company's personality. I think a lot of companies are more cutthroat and they create that competition between coworkers.
Yeah.
And so then you see your coworkers as your competitors,
The enemies.
the enemies. And you don't want like give away any information to your enemies.
Yeah.
But in the first startup that we both worked, I think we got really lucky. The company had the best culture, hands down. Like
Yeah.
now I've seen 4 different companies. That was the best one, like culture wise. And I hired really, really great people. Most of the friends I made in my first startup, we still kept in touch.
Yeah.
So that is a rare find, but I'm not against making friends with your coworkers, but you want to also kind of be conscious. I've had a coworker who told me that she gave away too much information to her coworker about her personal life, and she got like sabotaged.
Wait, what is that?
It's like
What happened?
you share too much about your personal life, and they use that information against you.
Oh, wow.
At a workplace, or they spread rumor about your personal life, which really contaminated your reputation or your image in the
Yeah.
company. So that's kind of like the people you need to watch out for. So
Yeah, that feels very like schoolyard clique kind of, you know?
yeah. So
Like spreading rumors and just, yeah, I mean, that sucks. That sucks. I wouldn't want to deal with that at all. So it sounds like we both agree that work is actually a pretty good spot to meet friends. But where else have you met people that you're close to now as an adult? Like new people that are in your life?
So I think you think about where you get the chance to meet as many people as possible, and then you choose from there. So it's almost like dating is a numbers game. If you don't meet new people, there's no chance that you'll be able to make any friends. I start with common interest or my passion. I like playing tennis. There are so many people out there who play tennis. I'm sure out of 100 people, you can find 2 to 3 similar souls that you connect with and can make friends from there. So actually, I'm really thankful for the tennis community. I started playing tennis during COVID. When I first started, you don't really know many people. You play some competitions, and then you chat with people, and then you join some teams, and you see who you connect with, click more with. And that's how I slowly made some friends through playing tennis. Now I have my set circle of tennis friends who I see regularly. And when we see each other, 90% of the topic is about tennis.
Really?
Which could be a little bit boring for people outside of tennis. But then in addition to that, we are about similar age and similar like background, and also all work in tech. Yeah, surprise. So we have other natural common topics that we can discuss on. Also, we just go to each person's place for like some dinners, and I'll invite them over for Halloween parties. So that's how you start like snowballing and grow your tennis community and also your friends like base. For now, I would say probably half of my friend circle comes from tennis. Wow. Heavily sourced from tennis.
Yeah, heavily tapped community. That's so funny. I don't think that I have a similar activity like that. I do activities, but they're all pretty independent. So I like to go work out. I like to go on like walks, or I'll like cook by myself. But they're not things that they're not like a team sport, where you're going out and doing things with a group of people, where you've got like different people sort of coming in and out of games or matches, or, just gatherings. So my activities tend to be a little bit more solo, but maybe it's related. But what I have found is that when I hang out enough or just linger in a place for long enough, I end up meeting people eventually. Maybe it takes a while.
Like where?
Like at the gym, I think is a great example of
I was
this.
like, are you just gonna be like wandering on the streets and then we'll
Not
meet?
on the street.
Okay.
That would freak people out for sure. That would freak people out.
Just
so
to
don't do
confirm.
that. Don't do that. But hanging out in a place where it's acceptable to like kind of loiter and just show up frequently and consistently, I think has been like, I've realized it's way easier to meet people that way, or to make friends in that way, than like what people might like have in their heads. So I think, and I do agree, it's harder to make friends as an adult, just because when you're growing up, you're sort of like in these little clusters that have some point of commonality, usually like age, the things that you're learning, and what you're going through is like a human at that like particular phase in life. And so there are all these like shared points of like overlap and experiences that like bond you almost. But when you are an adult, you don't have that anymore. Like there's no like point of commonality or like shared thing that you're going through, unless you decide to make that yourself, like through sports, or other hobbies, other interests. But at the gym, or like, I found that one of the easier like hacks to making friends without putting in a lot of effort is just hanging out in a place. So like for me, that's been the gym a lot. I've been spending a lot of time doing like dance classes or different Pilates classes. And actually like dance, I think, is a really like, people there are very eager to meet other dancers. But I've been doing a lot of then Pilates and bar and just all of these different types of workout classes. And eventually, like at first you show up and you're kind of like the new person and more focused on the workout than anything else. But I think if you like continue, or at least what's been my experience is that if you continue to show up and like day after day, week after week, and you eventually start running into the same people. And if you make eye contact enough, it becomes awkward to not say anything. You know what I mean?
Especially in the US, a lot of people start a lot of small talks, and they would come up to you and just like to say, hey, I've seen you like taking this class very often, which class you like. That's a really good starter to have a natural conversation.
Totally.
So I think what you point out a very important point, which is to build on top of commonality. In the school, naturally you don't have to intentionally build that commonality. It exists, but now you have to intentionally find what commonalities you want to develop on to meet similar people. So for me, it is tennis, and she loves going to the gym. I love to go to gym, but like alone. I don't like going like in group lessons. But also, if you like dancing, you like hiking, you just have to find some of the spikes that you really like. You and you go really, really deep in that community, that's where you will find a lot of like similar souls and who share the passion, weird passion for some common things. And then that's where you can develop a very deep
Totally.
relationship.
Even if it's not a very like specific interest, I think that, yeah, just having the like shared time or like bumping into people enough that it sort of forces you to make like contact, like intentional contact with them is cool because it also exposes you to new people, like new people that you wouldn't have. When I was like dancing, we were all sort of actually, and maybe that is the equivalent for like what you have with tennis. When I was dancing, we're all sort of like in the same age. We've got like, you know, this shared like job experience that we're going through together. And there was a lot of sort of just overlap in our life experience. My favorite thing about meeting people at the gym, and specifically in like Pilates classes, where if you go regularly, the culture is a little bit like funky, where people have their preferred spot. You know,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like my spot in class is 3 mats over from the door, and like that is my spot. And if someone beats me to it, like okay, it's yours.
I'm gonna
But
remember
if you
you.
don't, but if you don't, if that's open, like that's where I want to be, you know? And so
Yeah.
everyone has sort of their like preferred like usual space actually in Pilates. And so then I'm like, okay, my neighbors in 4 and 2, like you know, you eventually start to know them by name. And even if they're not like the same age as you, like that's how I've met people, actually like people that are way older than me or way like totally in a different stage of life that I've become friends with as well. Like I went to someone's birthday party the other night who was having a birthday in her 50s. Like I'm in my 30s. Like what other world would I like naturally have a an opportunity to be friends with someone that was like in a totally different stage
Yeah,
of life
and I
like
like
me?
that because it will
Yeah.
open up your mind. Like I want to be like open-minded. I want to see how people live their life in 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
and they are so much wiser than us.
Oh my gosh,
And with,
infinitely.
there's so much we can learn from them, right? Don't always hang out with younger people, dumber people. Open it up and always be open-minded, and you can always learn something from someone.
So agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
new, like, yeah.
I think it's one of the biggest life hacks actually is being, because I realized actually at my last company, the startup that I was at, I also had like coworkers who were in their maybe late 40s, early 50s, but became really good friends with them too. And I think it's such a hack for getting ahead because when you're your age, like, and you have people that are only your age around you, you kind of have blinders on in a way. Like
Yeah.
you're all going through the same thing or like maybe like debating and trying to figure out the same issues in life. But nobody's actually gone through it and like
No.
seen the other side and like
No.
knows what to do or what not to do. People that have gone through that and like not just gone through it themselves, but had all their friends go through it and are like now have had a decade to sit on it and think about whether that they like approached it the right way or what they would do differently. Like those people are so helpful to have in life. Like I think it's the biggest life hack, like, and cheat code, just having people that
Yeah.
can like help you navigate that
Totally agree. I
because they've
think
been through it.
when
Yeah.
I was in 20s, it didn't even like occur to me. I just love hanging out with people with similar energy, like who can do similar extent of activities versus you're like, oh, those old people, they cannot move that fast, right? Okay, that was so dumb of me. Okay. Even in the tennis community, there were so many like older people, but they are so established. A lot of them like were like lawyers before. Now they join like those expensive like country club, tennis club, and every time you play tennis with them, you just feel like, oh, that's a different level of lifestyle. And sometimes after the season end, you go to someone's party and you just get to see like the place that they live in. And I have one teammate, she lives in Hillsborough. You went to her big mansion and she has a tennis court in her backyard. I'm like, oh, I want to be like her. So that also completely just like opens up like so many doors for you to see how other people live and also get to interact with like wiser and also people who have been through different stages of their
I
lives.
think, yeah, being through those different stages is so key because there's like, okay, I'm dealing with issues that I know of right now, but around the corner in the next decade, like there are going to be things that I don't even know are coming that I can like start to prepare for now or like anticipate and be better prepared to deal with than whenever it does come, or have more confidence in navigating it and knowing that it's around the corner. Because I think the worst kind of problem is the problem that you don't know is coming, because then you can't do it, like you can't do anything about it till it's there and it surprises you. So I'd rather know like what's coming and not be like blindsided, you know, by changes. And I think that's such an underrated benefit, and like benefit that people ignore, of having a diverse friend group. Diverse in age, diverse in like ethnicities and perspectives and like where they come from. And I think that is one thing that I found to be easier making friends outside of work actually than at work. Which has been surprising.
Did you have FOMO in your 20s where you feel like you don't meet enough people, or you don't have a big enough a group of people to be friends with? I think I had that where I was forcing myself to go different parties to social with people, especially those like big parties where there are like 20, 30 people and you don't know more than half of them. You're forcing yourself to be out there in order to meet more friends. Otherwise, you feel like you're missing out on like the coolest people.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I had that phase. And as I grow older into my 30s, I intentionally cut a lot of my useless social time. I actually don't need that because it's completely a waste of my time. We didn't go really beyond any superficial topics, and they didn't really add any value to my life. And I think in my 30s, I also become more comfortable being alone and have a smaller social group. But in my 20s, I had that anxiety of having to meet people constantly.
Interesting. Yeah. I had the opposite anxiety. So I am so bad in groups, like in big groups. I'm just like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm like, my mind is like ping ponging between, should I go talk? What do I do? I just get overwhelmed in really big social settings like that. I'm so much better like one-on-one, and like way prefer talking to people privately or individually and just having a little bit more of an intimate conversation. So I don't know that I ever had that fear of missing out, or that experience of feeling like I have to be part of this more like big, I think, social scene. And I think part of it too is like feeling like, am I getting invited to these events that everyone fun is getting invited to? And there's sort of that, like, I think that pressure around it. But I think the other piece for me that made me feel like I wasn't really missing out as much was that with dancing, I had basically a built-in group of like, there were 40 of us. And you have this like group that you're sort of like doing this like built-in activity with every single weekend for your entire weekend. And that almost serves the same purpose. Like, you see these people, you do get to know them like more and more over time. But if I had any like inkling or desire to be in a big group, it was satisfied by whatever that was. Like, I did not need any more like big social group stuff after dancing for 16 hours on a weekend with 39 other people. Like, I was satisfied after that.
I think with a good amount of people like from and at work, and also your dancing group, I think that's more than enough people, like also like social quota for you on a daily basis. For me, because I was looking for new faces outside of work, so which I intentionally made the effort, but actually it didn't last long. And the moment you stop trying and all the friends are gone, meaning that those friends are not meant for you. Yeah, they didn't. A lot of friends didn't really stay in life. And if you feel like you need to spend so much effort in order to maintain any friendship, maybe you're trying too hard. Because I feel like it should be a two-way street.
I do feel like that is one of the areas that I'm not very good at, and that I'm trying to improve now that I'm an adult. I was really bad, I think, when I was younger, but part of it was because I was like, well, I'm like in a very different like chapter of my life than I felt like people that I had been friends with were in. So as an example of that, like a lot of my friends from high school didn't end up going to college. And so I was having like a very different experience, right? 4 years later, where I was just like getting started or like thinking about applying for jobs. They had been working for four years already, right? And so it was just a very different a very different experience that I was going through that from what they were going through. And so I think that that's naturally causes you to drift. But even now, I like find that that's one of the things that I, have to put like thought behind, because I'm not naturally like very good at it. So, I mean, I have some things that I've started to do to try to get better, but I am curious, like, how do you stay in touch, or like, how do you even decide like who to stay in touch with, and what is your, like, how do you deal with that? How do you stay in touch with people?
I don't try to maintain every friendship. I think that's like impossible. You have to pick and choose and only spend effort on the things that are valuable to you. I think this is a general rule, goes to a lot of aspects of life. You can't put all the eggs in one basket, but also you can't want to have it all. Then you end up not having anything. So for me, I keep a very small social group, but I would make effort to make sure that I see them regularly so that we're still in the loop of each other's life updates. So for some friends, I end up having several of my high school friends here in Silicon Valley. I mean, like I went to school in China and we went to high school together in China, but now like after over 15 years, we all ended up here. So that's some kind of destiny.
That's crazy, because I don't have anyone that I know that's out here. I have maybe like one person.
That's real. So for me, my high school friends, they are really important to me, even though we see each other maybe every quarter or every 6 months, not as frequent. But I know that I can lean on them whenever I really need something. For example, in the early days when I need to like move or when I really need help, I would reach out to them because they got my back. I know that I can always count on them. And I remember one of my high school friends, her husband had a car accident and was in ICU, and she immediately contacted me and I took her to the hospital. So those are kind of friendship that like you can always count on each other. I'll make sure that I definitely reserve part of my energy to those people. They are important to me. And then my social group, like more I call entertainment friends, who I share common interests with. We play tennis very often. Those people I see more often. I mean, on the frequency base, like every week, because we play tennis together. But I would say most of our interactions are tennis based. So if I really have an emergency, I probably would default to my high school friends.
You see them less frequently, your high school friends, but the relationships are deeper, and like, you know, they're there for life. Whereas with your entertainment friends, I love that word, by the way, I love that phrase. They seem to be, more frequent and tied to like the seasons and your like activities and fun that you're doing more frequently, but just shallower and like more there for.
But within that, you also have different tiering, right? Some of your core friends where you actually share life updates and you spend more time outside of just playing tennis, and you slowly convert them from just pure entertainment friends to your core social anchor group.
Upgrade.
A lot of like processing, categorizing, bucketing, and labeling. So I think a lot of time, it really takes time for you to get to know the other person and to build that trust. It's not built overnight. So that's why I want to be more careful when seeding in your friendship. You don't want to like go too fast where you scare the other person. You don't want to be so cold that the other person cools down so quickly. So you have to keep it warm.
It's just like dating. It is dating.
It's
like
dating
for friends.
Yeah. So that's
platonic dating.
But that's the bulk of my friends are like entertainment friends, where you have like the inner circle, you have the outer circle. Then that probably occupies most of your time. And my last would just be probably the old friends from like work, like you, who I now see more frequent. But because we have different like setup with our career, and also like you are being in and out of the state, so we didn't get a chance to see each other in the last couple of years that often. But like now, since you've relocated back to the Bay Area, I guess like, and also we're super close, we'll get to see each other a lot more. And then some like here and there, like some of my friends I made through like real estate, or some like the dog parents.
Yeah.
Those are like one-off people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about my friend group similarly, although now I am trying to convert or like be in a place where I'm converting more friendships to at least like whittle down my entertainment friend list and then be just have more people that are in sort of the core like friend group, or like at least have people in my life where I feel like I can talk to them about like deeper things that are outside of just like work or like mutual interests and stuff like that. People that I can come to for like support, even if it's not like a super deep like level. But yeah, people that are like gonna be, or I think more in my life for longer than a specific season. I think, yeah, I've started to meet like a few new people through activities that I was talking about and just being at the gym that have like slowly like morphed into that over time. But I think again, that's just a function, or like that's naturally going to happen when you're around people for long enough amount of time and you just, yeah, consistently see each other. So it's been an unexpected, I think, perk. I think most of my friends that I had been like close with came from work or came from school. I think for a long time too, relationships, right, are usually like a really big part of your social circle. And so that's definitely what mine looked like. But now I'm trying to rebuild it more intentionally, less fun, more like life support, I guess you could call it.
If you were to rate your mood or like the eagerness to make new friends, do you feel like you are now generally like excited about meeting new people, or more like kind of, oh, actually I'm good, I'm comfortable with where I am?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think right now I'm not like, I'm always open, I think is the way that I would describe it. Like I'm always interested in meeting new people and excited to meet new people and excited to have like additional people in my life. I think the number of people though, or like the natural filter from that is like, are those people that also want like deeper relationships? Probably not. Like most of them, I think most people probably don't, because it's a time investment. And so I think I'm always willing to meet new people and like be like very casual and like friendly face of like a friendly face to someone. But the number of people that naturally want to go like deeper, either because of their own commitments or, whether they feel like they click with me, is just a smaller number of like a smaller proportion of that. And so I feel like it's sort of naturally selective in that way, where it's like, I'm always willing to meet new people. I'm not actively trying to like, it's not like dating where I'm like, okay, like I have to go like get a certain number or like meet new people right now, but I'm always open. Yeah. I'm always open. Yeah. What about you?
I think I'm excited about meeting new people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the key.
Especially,
No more entertainment. I'm good on the entertainment.
Especially if you find really funny people and really just smart or like very quirky people, and just feel like, oh, that person's so interesting, I just want to know that person better. I need to feel there's some kind of pull that I find something is interesting or intriguing about that person, that would pull me in closer to try to learn about that person's perspective, personality, experiences, anything. But I'm not like, oh, it's good to make one more friend. I think I'm already past that phase of, oh, I just
wanting
need
to collect friendships just for the sake of having them. Yeah. They have to like serve a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm at that same place where you can, you're trying to build like an intentional community, and not everyone you meet is gonna like fall into that or like want to be part of it. But if you do find it, then like that's really exciting to like be able to add, right?
Yeah. So, what would you tell your younger self now, yourself 10 years ago or even 5 years ago? What would you tell her about making friends as adults?
This is a good question. I would say, I think like not to stress about like who you naturally connect with. I think for a long time, and it wasn't FOMO at all, but I think I felt like guiltier that I wasn't doing the whole like social thing right, because I've always had a smaller number of friends. I've always had friends that are like older than me, maybe not like 20 years older, because that's weird when you're like 16. But I've always had friends that are like slightly older than me, and I've always had a smaller number of friends. So I've never gravitated towards like big groups. And I think sometimes I would feel really like bad about that. Like I wasn't doing it right, or I thought that there was something like wrong with the way that I was socializing. But I think I so much more like appreciate it. Like I've just kind of gotten to the point where I accept that that's how I am. I also now like realize that I think that's actually the better way for me to approach like relationships and friendships. I just way prefer having a smaller number of people that I'm really close with, and don't feel like I'm being spread out in 50 different directions. I've got like, you know, a core group of people that I enjoy spending time with and enjoy having as part of my circle. And yeah, I think I would just tell myself, my younger self, that it's like, that's a totally fine way to approach having friends. You don't need to feel FOMO over not feeling FOMO about your friend group, I guess is the way that I would describe it. Yeah. What about you?
I would say to her, stay true to yourself. I felt like I was forcing myself too much in order to make friends. And I definitely had a FOMO in my early 20s. So I would just tell her, if you're forcing it too much, maybe it's not yours. So if you're trying too hard, maybe it's not meant for you. So friendship should feel an effortless two-way street, right? Something clicked and you're learning, getting something from the person gets the same thing from you. I mean, like value wise, otherwise why would you want to be friends with someone else, right? You're definitely getting something from that person. You're learning something from that person, and it's helping you to improve as a person. I felt like I did a lot of busy work in my early 20s, so I'll just say, stay true to yourself. The real friendship will come eventually.
I love that.
All right, with that, I guess that's a wrap to today's episode. And hopefully we all make more high quality friendship
I love that.
in our early 30s. And
Yes.
we'll see how this pans out in 40s. Maybe our perspective will change, and we'll cross the bridge when we get there.
Yeah. But I think so far, I think the key learning is that, yeah, I think it doesn't need to be as hard or as daunting as people make it out to seem. Like there are definitely ways to cut corners and put yourself in positions where it's easier to, like it is actually easy to meet new people and make new friends.
And be patient. Enjoy being alone when the friendship isn't there yet, and you can just be your own friend.
Very true.
All right.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.